topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Now I have someone who I've known for quite a while, and actually we wrote a book together. We went to school together, and we have a lot of history, and I feel like we're going to learn a lot from this conversation today. Nazneen Razi, Dr. Nazneen Razi, and myself got our PhDs together in Lisle, Illinois, Chicago area. And wow, we went like every other weekend for years. And then Nazneen has had some wonderful, wonderful career experiences as chief CHRO for numerous Fortune 50 companies. Right now, she's doing some work with a healthcare organization. She was with Blue Cross Blue Shield for a long period of time, and she's doing some really interesting things around the world. She started a school in India for underprivileged children. So Nazneen is one of these just great contributors to society and just a wonderful individual. Welcome, Nazneen, and I'm so glad you could take the time to come on board. Don't you look cheery?
Yeah, hi. So Linda, thank you for inviting me to this show of yours. I'm really glad to be here and contribute. It's exciting to see you again. As you mentioned, you and I go way back. We were in the cohort together, the PhD program. And honestly, if I look back to those days, that was foundational for me.
Yeah.
The PhD program taught us, I think, it wasn't just a credential. It was much more than that. If you think about it, it gave us the confidence. We didn't know where we were going to go at that point.
Right.
And we did it to big things. If you recall, we were at one company and then we moved up. And for me, it was the launch pad. It was sort of the springboard to getting into CHRO roles for the first time.
Right.
It was the 20 years following the PhD program, I think, were sort of the highlight of my career. In those 2 decades, I was CHRO at major companies and worked with several leaders. I worked with 11 CEOs. And if you think about it, to me, that's 11 leadership lessons. You're looking at it with 11 lenses, and each CEO brings a different culture, a different characteristic. And so it was really those were exciting times as well. And
remember, because we were in that class together and you were doing so much work with leaders and I was too globally, we wrote that book, Winning with Winning with Trans Global Leadership. I thought it was a great book.
I know, and McGraw-Hill published it. It took us a year, but we enjoyed the experience.
We enjoyed the experience.
At the time, it was selling in Asia big time, and it's the world.
Yeah, and I was teaching I was using it for a lot of speeches and stuff around the world, and and remember, we had a survey in there for how you could tell a local leader from a trans-global leader, and a lot of people use that. That was pretty exciting.
And they still do. I mean, I still use it. It's
me too.
It's great. I think it's a great resource.
I do too.
Not just because we wrote it, but we did a lot of research on it. So
we did.
Everybody's input in that.
Right. We made that PhD go to work.
We did.
we did all the research on it. So tell me, what are you up to now? Tell me about this Nazneen Razi school that you started in India. It's so interesting.
Yeah, so I can pivot to that. What happened is, there were two large initiatives in India. The first one was a mentoring program. So a professor at Columbia, and I and a partner at McKinsey, we sort of curated a mentoring program for college students in India. And that was very exciting, and then it's evolved. We have close to 100 mentors, and we now, have gone beyond just colleges. We've got high school students that we mentor. We build their soft skills, leadership skills, communication, collaboration, all of those things. And that was our initiative. And we also have MBA students now that we work with.
Wow.
That's exciting. But the one that's most exciting that you referenced, is a school that actually my great grandmother started, and then I restarted the school. And it really takes young women and girls and takes them off the slums. This is in a little town in Hyderabad. It's called Mushirabad, and it's very underprivileged, and it's impoverished, the area. It's very slummish even today. And so we put 250 women, actually 500 women and girls through the program each year. And they graduate.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's all free, we don't charge them anything. And they learn computer science skills. They learn the trades like tailoring, henna design. And actually, they have been given jobs. And one thing I realized, talent is everywhere, but opportunities are not everywhere. And that's
what a great statement.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I go back for the commencement, and I see these young girls, and they are so different from when you see them at the inception of the program. So it's very gratifying.
Oh, I bet it is. And what kind of opportunity are they able to find jobs?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Most of them end up with, really decent positions where they can make a living. These are young girls who would never have had that opportunity. And for those who cannot read and write, we have the computer literacy classes. And then for those who cannot read and write, we teach them the trades. Either way, we make sure that they're gainfully employed. That's the idea. Or even if they are not gainfully employed, they have the ability to be employed, in the future. So it really does uplift the society and the community, and that's very rewarding.
Oh, and what's the percentage of people that do they end up learning how to read and write as they go through the program, or is that
actually
not a goal?
No, that isn't necessarily the goal.
Yeah.
The goal for those who have some degree of education, we teach them the computer science courses. So they learn Excel and Word, just basic stuff that they can use.
And they can do that without having to read or write.
Well,
that's true.
Those do. Those have basic fundamental literacy skills.
Yeah.
So this is giving them a little bit more advanced technical skills. Yeah, technical competencies. Right.
Wow, that's good. So the last time you and I talked, we do go back to Benedictine from time to time, although I haven't been back there lately, but you were going to retire. So what happened? And then I find out you've got this great job again, and you're doing all this other stuff.
Know.
So give me your story.
Well, I left HCSC, which was an $80 billion company. And at the time I thought I would sort of semi-retire. Even then, I hadn't planned to retire. So I started my own consulting company. And for 5 years, I did that. I loved it. I loved the diversity of my clients. My clients were higher ed. I worked with University of Illinois in Chicago. I worked with not-for-profits like World Education Services and Candid. And I also worked for profit, The Honest Company. So I did a lot of consulting.
We need more of those honest companies around these days.
I know, you're right about that. And then I also amped up my learning. I doubled down on learning, and I tried my hand again back at academia. And so I am still senior faculty at the Josh Bersin Academy. So we run these sessions, and every Friday, we started before the pandemic. In fact, the next session is coming up, and it's all about AI. I don't know if you've been watching the Davos tapes. It's incredible what they are doing with AI. And then the intersection of HR and AI is becoming a big deal. So the next breakout session that I will be leading beginning next month is around HR and artificial intelligence.
Wow.
And it's made my life easy. You know, it's so simple. It's actually quite fascinating.
So didn't you go to Davos at one time?
I did go to
I
Davos.
thought so. Yeah, I remember that. What an experience.
The best business trip of my life. I went with the CEO and I was chosen. It was great. They could take one a senior executive. And so that was a wonderful experience. Actually, I did get to see Jane Goodall and, you know,
wow,
listen to some of these speak, Adam Grant and some of the big CEOs. But I was watching Davos again with some nostalgia, you know, going back in time. And you listen to the CEOs of today, you know, you listen to Jensen Huang, who talks about, he says it's so simple, AI. If you doesn't require to program, if you don't know how to program, just ask ChatGPT, show me how to program or program, you know, set up a website, teach me how to use ChatGPT. It's really simple if you think about it. And, you know,
it is, because even I can use it.
I know, me too. Me too. It's very intuitive, and you just have to talk to the computer, and it gives you all the information. And you know, the best part about HR for us, you and I, as we coach and we, you know, we prepare executives. There's so much data at your fingertips. I don't have to go to a compensation expert. I can get benchmarking data anytime, anywhere. I mean, it's really amazing. And you look at best practice information, what our company is doing. It's all there. It's there for you to grab. Anyway, so I did that for about 5 years, going back to your question. I did try my hand at retiring. So last year I said, okay, I think I'm going to take a break. And 6 months, that's all I could handle. You know, I was bored. I was bored to the point of distraction. I'll tell you, 6 months of doing nothing. It just was.
You have a second home on a lake or a river, right?
We do. Yeah. But
so you think you could have entertained yourself up there, but no.
No, I had to keep moving. And you know, it's not, to me, it's not a necessity. It's a choice. It's a career choice. And I do believe that, you know, careers don't expire. You know, work doesn't expire. You just need to keep doing what you like. And I like it. And, you know, the best part, so going back to it, I did go back to being a CHRM. I'm back to being a CHRO again.
It's
really different because I'm working for a company that's extremely mission oriented. They have a very compelling story. And, you know, the whole idea is to provide access to healthcare. You know, we hear so much about nursing homes and treatments in nursing homes. It's all about quality of care, where the people are the center. And so making sure that people are kept out of hospitals. And when they do leave hospitals, are they getting the care they need? So it's a not-for-profit. Love the CEO. He's brilliant, but compassionate. It's just a very nice story. And, you know, it's the most fulfilling part of my career. So the last decade's been quite interesting. As I said, I gave myself the permission to explore, you know, and I said, okay, let's explore. 5 years, I did the consulting thing, which I loved, and, you know, kept my feet wet in academia. I go back to BU. I go back to Benedictine University for guest lectures, and I've done that a few times. And so, and now I'm being a CHRO again, believe it or not.
What do you see? Do you see any significant differences between, you know, like 10 years ago when you were a CHRO versus what you're confronting now, what you see now?
Yeah, and I think some of it, I think the evolution of HR has been pretty profound. I think the biggest change that I saw was the pandemic, right? It completely altered people's habits and ways of working. We have now given people the license to work from home. In the past, that never happened. We always I had to trek into downtown, drive 2 hours sometimes in the snow and get into the city. Now I don't have to do that. I do when I want to, but it has it has been a discovery. And so when we were doing the breakout sessions, the sprints that I do Friday mornings, we meet with global leaders, and we've been doing this. This is my 20th sprint. So I've done this 19 times. 6-week program. And every Friday morning, we get a group of HR people together, and it's a breakout
And
session.
where are they from, Nazneen? Where are the
All
HR
over.
people?
All over.
All over the world.
Folks from China, India, Australia, and then Europeans. There are lots of folks from Paris and Germany, and of course, a lot of US folks as well. So we have a group of about 20, 25 in each of these breakouts. And we have discussions on relevant topics. As I said to you this time, the coming session is all about AI.
Yeah.
And it's the blueprint of how you transfer from, static processes to more dynamic kind of, workflows. And so it's a whole different, to me, it's a whole different HR function. And I think we have, we create a lot of value now. And I see the other thing I find is I'm making informed decisions now, much better decisions. Not just because of my experience, but because of the information that's available to me.
At your fingertips.
At my fingertips. It does make a difference. And the question is, everyone grapples with what's going to happen to the future.
Right.
Going to see less jobs. I think it's going to be different jobs, not necessarily less jobs. I think people will behave differently. When you look at the next generation and the next generation, the iPad and now the AI generation, they think differently. They behave differently. And so the generational divide will start to close. I think it will start to get, people of all generations are getting into the habit of using technology in a very positive way, productive way.
The truth of the matter is that we wouldn't have been able to do that, what we're doing right now, 5 years ago. I'm sitting in North Carolina. You're sitting in outside Chicago. I remember when I was at HP and they had this, we had to go to this big room, and that was one of the biggest technology and we'd have to have all these screens and have to get hooked up and all these engineers to talk to somebody in another part of the company. And now, it's basically my iPad and your iPad, and
I know,
here we go, right?
I know. So simple. And
it is.
Yeah. And I have I have ChatGPT and Grok and DeepSeek, everything. I go to every engine I can and just try to get them to do my job. It's really the whole notion is to me, it's cognitive escalation. It's right. To me, it's ChatGPT is my friend now, basically.
Right. Don't you wish we had it when we were doing all our PhDs and our master's degrees? We had to go to the library, and master's was worse because we had to go to those index cards.
Oh yeah. We're aging ourselves, Linda.
I know. Well, people haven't figured out, that we're out there.
Go ahead.
One of the goals of this show is to show people like us we're not, we used to be old years ago, and people are doing incredible stuff. Like, you're contributing so incredibly to society.
Yeah. And, doing multiple things, keeping ourselves excited. I love performing arts, go to the theater all the time, We get our kicks out of different things. You and I both have. You travel so much.
I do. Yeah. I love that. But that's, I'm into organizational culture. That, that's what we did when we did our PhDs. And it's so interesting to go to other countries and, see the cultures and how people do things. And, personally, I'm not going to see the artifacts around particularly. It's just hanging out with the people and learning how they do stuff is really, really incredible. So I have another question for you. What are you seeing the differences in the students today that you're interacting with?
The students, you mean the HR students?
Well, the ones that you're teaching, and also the ones that you're working with, the new people coming in, What are you seeing some of the differences there?
I, I find it fascinating because they are so, in some respects, they're so ahead of the game. In
Mm,
some respects, they have, to them, it's second nature. We had to learn. I had to learn to do some of the things, and it took time. For them, they grew up with it. So it's fascinating to watch them throw a presentation together, no big deal, you know.
right,
No big
right.
deal, everything comes out, and they were really fast at it. And so I think their learning is very different. They don't like to put in, my view, they
Yeah,
don't like to put in a lot of effort.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
we
I
just
didn't either, but we had to.
we had no choice.
Right,
And
right.
for them, it comes easy for the most part. And so
Yeah,
I do think that the work culture is evolving to where I feel that in the future, even if there are less jobs, I think the solution is going to be less work in
yeah,
terms of, your work day, your work week will be uh, shorter, and your playtime will be longer. I think we will give ourselves the license to play more, and
yeah,
I see that work life balance is going to shift with the newer generation. I see that, there's a lot of that. They would like to do more of the playing than the working and the studying, but it's a
yeah.
different kind of studying, really.
Yeah, it is. I think it is a different kind of study. I mean, I remember when we
I'm
were
saying
doing,
one other thing. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Only
good,
other
good.
thing
Go
that I
ahead.
feel disappointed. I don't think people read enough. I really think,
Mm,
because of the distractions that are out there. I find that people, the students, don't read as much as we had to
yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I say, I mean, I don't read hard books anymore. I read everything online.
online. Yeah,
And frankly, I read it on my phone because you can download books,
me too. Me too. And
and I
then we
like
listen to
that.
podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
me
so much.
too.
The problem is there's too much out there. How do you distill?
That's right. I don't know how you distill. I
Yeah.
really don't. And but I do love having stuff on my phone because if I've got downtime, I mean, I'm just making this up. I'm sitting in the car and traffic and stuff like that. Not supposed to be doing this while you're driving, but you got your phone there and it's
Yeah.
easy. You're in a doctor's office. You don't have to be lugging a book around with you.
I know.
I
Yeah,
I
I
I,
do.
I like that.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. And
So,
you can with your earphones on, your earbuds on, you can watch stuff too. It's
right.
fantastic.
It is fantastic. So, what do you see as the jobs of the future, Nazneen? Because I just want to build on something that you said. I do not think it will take away jobs, certain kinds of
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah, it will.
But I'm not seeing that it's going to, I mean, there's still lots of need for healthcare professionals,
Absolutely.
technical professionals,
Yeah.
try to get somebody to fix your electric grid, you
Well,
know.
the trades are going to get really much bigger, much bigger.
Right,
I think you will see a shift in the colleges and their focus. You can't have AI fix your plumbing, you know.
right.
So
You'd
you
like to,
know
but you
that
can't.
you don't want to,
Right.
but I do think that the shift, but I also think, like you point out, the human touch is still going to be needed, the consulting, which is why, from an HR perspective, we need to build those compassionate skills, the skills,
Yeah,
and how do you take care of folks, and how do you manage in environments that are downtrodden, or how do you do those things? I mean, I do think technology isn't necessarily going to, or AI or whatever it is, the next generation isn't going to be, uh, isn't going to take over in a negative way. I think,
right. Oh, it's not going to teach you compassion. It's
no,
not going to teach you
no,
empathy. It's
no,
not going to teach you caring.
no, no.
And I don't know about you, I don't want to get into any political stuff, but it just seems like uh, we're at a rough time in life, in society. People are, it seems
Yeah.
not as compassionate and not as empathetic with others as they perhaps were, or we could be. And maybe this is a cusp to turn some things around, get
And
people more engaged with each
for the
other.
better. I mean, if you think about how much energy the new data centers that are coming up because of technology, the
Right.
investment in the infrastructure,
Correct.
all of that is going to happen. The results
Right.
will have to be better outcomes, better
Totally.
outcomes in healthcare, better outcomes in productivity. There's going to be an expectation for change in a big way.
Right.
Elon Musk, same thing at Davos, he was talking about how children aren't going to be taking care of their parents, so he's creating robots.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's a whole different wave. I mean, think about it.
Right.
10 years from now, you're going to have a robot cooking for you, cleaning for you, doing all your chores, getting the mail. I mean,
right.
Garbage out. You never know. Things are going to be very different. We could never have predicted. My dad, passed away 20 years ago. If he came back today, he wouldn't recognize the world. I mean, it's so different.
Interesting point. Yeah.
And so I do think 10 years from now, we probably will have all these robots living around us and doing all the things that we do that we don't enjoy.
Right. Well, all the dirty work that we don't want to do. And we used that passage in one of our books, or one of something that we wrote, which, technology is going to take over the stuff the dirty, boring stuff that you don't want to do.
Exactly.
And just look at a car today. A car is a sophisticated machine, 30 years ago, you could drive it in. There was a mechanic, it wasn't necessarily considered a great, it was very much of a blue collar job. And, people could crank this or put oil or whatever they did. I have no idea. Now, you bring them. It's a big computer.
It is. It is expensive computer.
A big, expensive computer that better work.
I know.
And you need somebody fairly sophisticated to work on it. So, Nazneen, in your experience, what are some words of wisdom you can pass on to people that may be looking at this show, who may be, like our age or younger, or maybe at a point in their career where they're like, okay, I don't know what's next for me. How do you keep your vibrance? And you're definitely vibrant.
It's a good question. I would say, number one, make sure that you have purpose as your North Star. Have a compelling, anchor you, whatever you're doing, into purpose. And then be optimistic, passionately optimistic. Don't unduly burden yourself with problems, because that's no fun. Enjoy life. And to me, that's an important thing. And teams, I think we should be recognizing the power of teams. Individual genius is fragile.
Great statement.
Think about it. Compared to the wisdom of teams, what you can achieve with people, it's really, really important. No matter what AI does, it's not the same thing. What we did collaboratively, Linda, we created a book, right?
Right.
We did,
which people still use.
We did. And so I think and also humility. I think humility builds trust and compassion. Yep. Compassion and humility are really critical. And then, of course, I think learning. I mean, you and I both are diehard lifelong learners. To me, it's always important to keep refreshed, make sure that your brain is always active and in motion.
Right.
So those are kind of the things that I think are important to me.
Purpose, compassion and empathy, learning, optimism, and keep refreshed. 5 great suggestions to really live by. And I think you live by them, to be honest with you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope I do. As I think back, I hope I do. But this is my final chapter and I'm enjoying it. So,
right. Oh, don't say final chapter.
Well, I don't consider it as a decade. I mean, as I said to you, 60s and 70s are meaningless,
Yeah.
Keep going, 80s and 90s. I watched Warren Buffett talk the other day, and he's 94. It was if you haven't listened to it, it's fantastic. He talks about the 10 things you want to think about after you reach the age of 60. You should listen to it. It's amazing.
I will.
94.
Right.
And he continues to, do wonderful things.
and innovate, which is
and innovate. Exactly.
really great.
New wonderful things. So yeah,
It's really great.
it's always a cool story there.
Well, I really thank you so much for doing this,
Absolutely.
Nazneen. We've had a long history and we've done a lot of great things together. And once the weather gets a little better, you're making me want to fly out to Chicago and see you again.
Please do. You're
Yeah.
always welcome. Always
Yeah.
welcome. It was great to see you, and thank you for doing this. I appreciate
Yes. It'll be on, and well, it runs periodically, and I'll let you know. But thank you for coming on. It's just a pleasure. You've been a pleasure, and you're such a wonderful friend, and I thank you for that.
Thank you for your friendship as well. Thanks, Linda.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.